Hi, thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card. This is actually a case from the annual catalog. You can find the card that I cased on page 22, and it's this one right here. Case, if you're not sure, means copy and share everything or copy and selectively edit. I selectively edited what I was going to do to this card, but I really liked this card and I actually might make this exact card at some point. But let's get started. So to make this card, I needed the Lovely You stamp set. I needed the Lovely Labels Pick-a-Punch, which I really like, and this is like one of the reasons why I got, this is like one of the first things that I got from the annual catalog when it came out, and it's one of the reasons why I got like the bundle, is I liked these little tags. So, all right. So I have here a piece of basic white for my card base. And then I have another piece of basic white that is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. I have a piece of vellum that is 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have a scrap of mint macaron and a scrap of rich razzleberry. So we'll get to those in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and fold my card base in half. And then set my card base aside. I'm now going to take my white panel and I'm going to do some stamping on this panel with the Lovely You stamp set. And the colors that I'm going to use for this card are mint macaron, crushed curry, which looks like I left it open, so hopefully it is not too dried out, rich razzleberry, and gray granite. So I started with the largest image, which, or to me, the largest image is this like almost like leafy fern type image. And I did that in mint macaron. I find it best to start with the large images so that you have space for them, and then you go down to the smaller images and you'll have less space, but the images are smaller, so you'll be able to fit what you need to onto your card. So here we go with the mint macaron. I'm just gonna put this in a couple of different places on my card. I really don't have much rhyme or reason to where I'm placing it, just that I am placing it. All right, I think we'll just stick with those 4 for now. I'm sorry, I'm just cleaning off my stamp. All right, so then the next one that I'm going to do, what I consider the next largest one, is this flower. This flower I'm going to do in crushed curry. My stamp, my ink pad's actually looking kind of sad. So I'm going to be ordering a new one. This is the older style. Quite honestly, I like the older style better than these flat flip ones. But, you know, the ink is still the same. Like, the ink is still ink and it's amazing. So I can deal with it. All right, so I just want to make sure that my ink pad has enough ink, and actually it does look like it's a little bit dry, and I want these to be pretty vivid, so just give me a moment to add some ink to this. And I don't want to make a mess on my card that I've already started, so I set it aside. I'm going to use my spoon just to kind of get this into, now this, you can tell that this ink pad is old and not great, because this should easily go into the pad and it's just not really doing it. Sorry, I should have checked beforehand, but I didn't even think that I had it open, which, you know, that's all right. We'll just go ahead and clean off this excess. And I'm going to take some more of the excess off. And this definitely tells me I need a new ink pad, because it should not look like this. That's okay. It'll still work for what I want it to work for, I believe. So now I'll give that a good cleaning in a few minutes. Make sure I don't have too much ink on my fingers. Oops, on my thumb. And let's see, I'm glad that I checked, because I did not want that on my card. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and just test that again now that I have it inked. It's kind of splotchy, so I'm going to just press it in a little bit more. I could switch to a different color, but I really liked this color combination. All right, we're just gonna go with it. All right, so I'm gonna pull this back in. And, oh, there's actually some grossness on there. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do some stamping. It's not coming out the way I necessarily want it to, but that is okay. All right, so I'm gonna just stop with that and see where we need to go from here. The next one that I'm going to do is this 3-leaf, and I'm gonna do that in gray granite. I'm gonna close these up real quick so that I'm not making a mess by accident. All right, go ahead and put some of gray granite leaves in here. All right. And now I'm going to use this small little flower. It's got like 2 little buds on it, and I'm going to use the rich razzleberry to fill that in. And I didn't leave myself a ton of space, but that's all right. I don't necessarily need a lot of them. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, which really is just putting these flowers in where I can find some room. I overlapped that, but that's fine. I wasn't planning to do any overlapping, but it's not a big deal if it is overlapped. And I think I'm feeling like this is pretty empty right here, so I think I'm gonna try to fit this in there. All right. So this one is a little more filled in than my original, but I think that is just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and close up my ink real quick. Don't want to make a mess. And then I'm going to get my next piece, which is this piece of green. And actually I should have had it cut. I kind of forgot to cut it. So let's do a quick cut of this. This piece I have cut at 1 inch. I'm going to cut this next piece at 1 1/4. And in length, I have this at 3 1/2. It doesn't really matter, but I want to cut my purple one to be just a little bit smaller than that so that I can make my tag. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and get my tag out, and it doesn't matter which side you use. I'm just doing one on one and one on the other. So I'm going to go ahead and put my rich razzleberry in here. And flip it, put it in the other way around. And there's that piece. And then I'm gonna put this in, but this piece is actually bigger than the space that they give you, but I wanted it to be a bit bigger. So I'm gonna have to kind of maneuver it to get it in there. And then I need to make sure that it's even on this side so that it doesn't look funky after it's been cut. And again, on the other side, put it in, maneuver it so that it's basically even and doesn't look too terribly bad. And that's not super even, so let's try that again. Not the easiest, but still doable. All right, that's a little bit better. Now, because they cut this a little bit, I cut this twice. This might be too long. We might have to just put it in one more time. And yes, it's a little bit longer than I want it to be, so I'm just gonna stick it in one more time. All right. Now they will layer like this. But first, I'm going to stamp on here. To stamp on here, I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to use my Versamark. And I'm going to use the sentiment from the Lovely You set that says, on the other one I use just because, so now I'm wondering what I want to put on this. I think I'm gonna put cherished friend. Oh no, I'm gonna go with just because. Just because it's like perfect. I use it for many things, so I'll just go ahead and use some Versamark and put it. You can, use this as your top one if you want. Just cut it appropriately. So there's my just because. It's a little bit high, but if you've watched any of my videos, you will know that I typically say, it doesn't matter. It's handmade. It does not have to be perfect. I actually watch a lot of card makers. Oh, there's so many that I love. And sometimes I feel inadequate because I'm like, oh, their stuff is so amazing. I can't do anything nearly as good as that. But I also know that everybody has their own style and their own way of doing things. And I like the way I do it. And if I make mistakes, I'm not worried about it. So I just move on. And I was looking for my white embossing powder and I think I'm out. Oh no. So I'm going to use clear, even though I don't know if Stampin' Up! Carries clear. Sorry. And I'm being lazy and just using the lid instead of finding a piece of paper to put under it. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this yet, but you should be able to see it better once I've heated it. It is a little bit high, but I'm not honestly worried about it. If I wanted though, I could certainly flip it over and use the other side to re-stamp it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my heat tool and give it a minute to heat up, and then I will do this. So you may not be able to hear me if I say anything. All right, let's see. Pretty quick, and that warped my background paper here, but that's okay. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this onto here, and I'm gonna adhere it with some Stampin' Seal. If I can get it to come out. There we go. I'm just gonna kind of make sure I line it up fairly evenly around all the sides before I push it down. It's not lining up the way I want it to. The other one I did do a lot thinner on my original card, and maybe that is part of the problem, but you know, it is what it is. And I'm just gonna go with it. I'm going to pop this up onto some dimensionals, and I'm going to try to keep the dimensionals more toward the center because we're going to add some pieces on the outside here. So here's my dimensionals. Now I'm going to put this piece together before I put this on. I'm going to go ahead and take this piece, the panel that we stamped, and put adhesive on it. And then I'm gonna put it onto my card base, giving it, trying to give it fairly even border above and below it. I like the way that it looks with a crisp, clean border on the edges, and usually I would do that all the way around, but I really like the idea of going completely to the sides. And then I did the same thing with the vellum. I did not stamp on it. I just cut it so that it'd be edge to edge, but it would give the white border and now a small border of the stamp, so it's like nice and vibrant. And then the vellum kind of tones down the rest of it. I'm going to only put some Stampin' Seal in the area that I'm going to place my sentiment. So trying to think of when I flip it to put it on, it's gonna be right about here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try to line that up on the edge, and then with some borders. And there. And by putting the Stampin' Seal only there, it does make it so that this is kind of flappy, but I don't want anyone to see the adhesive underneath. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment on right over that area that has the adhesive. And then I'm going to use these wood elements that comes from the Tasteful, I think they're called Tasteful Elements, but it's from like the, well, let me look. Let me just look real quick. You see my catalog filled with things. I put tags on everything that I want to buy, all the projects that I really like, etc. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find this pretty quickly. And I don't want to take up all your time, but I'll put it in the description below, or you can find it on my blog, what these are. But they're part of like the Tasteful, or In Good Taste, might be In Good Taste elements. So on this one, I used the large leaves. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and use these more branchy pieces. If I can get them to pop out. And these are wood. They can break, so you just got to be careful about popping them out. And I'm going to go ahead and use 3 of them, I think. I might use 2, but I'm going to pop out 3 so we can see what it looks like. Oh, and see what I mean? It broke, but I can still use that. So, I'm going to use glue dots to secure these. And before I glue them down, I'm just going to look and see how I want them to look. So, thinking this one being broken might actually be just fine. I can use the pieces like this. Yep, I like it. Looks good. It's fine. Let's go ahead and glue dot these down. So there's not a lot of space to put the glue dots on here, but we'll find some space. All right, go ahead and stick that under there. And then again, this one's a pretty small piece, so I'm not sure how well it will work, but I'm going to try it. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. This looks just fine on its own. Okay, and then some more glue dots over here. Make sure that if you use these, that, I mean, you can put them this way if you want, but that's very flat. This side has like some details, and I want the detail side to be facing up. All right, go ahead and stick that under there, and one more piece. All right, and then this will go, whoops, this will go right in under here. And that completes the card. If you are interested in any of these products, feel free to check out my online store. It's linked below. You can find out the dimensions and other information regarding this card on my blog, which is also linked below. And please, if you would, share my video, comment on my video, but most importantly, give it a thumbs up to like it. That really would help me a lot, and I would appreciate it. I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I hope that I can be your demonstrator. Hope you have a great night. Bye.